The time signature is a notational convention used in Western musical notation to specify how many beats are in each bar and which note value constitutes one beat. In a musical score, the time signature appears at the beginning of the piece, as a time symbol or stacked numerals, such as or 3, 4, immediately following the key signature or immediately following the clef symbol if the key signature is empty. A mid-score time signature, usually immediately following a barline, indicates a change of meter. There are various types of time signatures, depending on whether the music follows simple rhythms or involves unusual shifting tempos, including simple, such as 3, 4 or 4, 4, compound, for example, 9, 8 or 12, 8, complex, for example, 5, 4 or 7, 8, mixed, for example, 5, 8 and 3, 8 or 6, 8 or 3, 4, additive, for example, 3 plus 2 plus 3, 8, fractional, for example, 2 or 1/2, 4, and irrational meters, for example, March 10 or 5, 24. Simple time signatures. Simple time signatures consist of two numerals, one stacked above the other. The lower numeral indicates the note value that represents one beat. The upper numeral indicates how many such beats there are in a bar. For instance, 2, 4 means 2 quarter note beats per bar. Euro 3, 8 means 3/8 note beats per bar. The most common simple time signatures are 2, 4, 3, 4, and 4, 4. Notational variations in simple time, a semicircle, or, is sometimes used for 4, 4 time, also called common time or imperfect time. The symbol is derived from a broken circle used in music notation from the 14th through 16th centuries, where a full circle represented what today would be written in 3, 2 or 3, 4 time, and was called tempus perfectum. The symbol, a semicircle with a vertical line through, is also a carryover from the notational practice of late medieval and Renaissance music, where it signified tempus imperfectum diminutum. More precisely, a doubling of the speed, or proportio dupla, in duple meter. In modern notation, it is used in place of 2, 2 and is called Alla Breve or, colloquially, cut time or cut common time. Compound time signatures. In compound meter, subdivisions of the main beat split into 3, not 2, equal parts, so that a dotted note becomes the beat unit. Compound time signatures are named as if they were simple time signatures, in which the 1/3 part of the beat unit is the beat, so the top number is commonly 6, 9 or 12. The lower number is most commonly an 8, as in 9, 8 or 12, 8. An example, 3, 4 is a simple signature that represents 3/4 notes. It has a basic feel of 1, 2, 3. Each quarter note might comprise 2/8 notes, giving a total of 6 such notes, but it still retains that 3 in a bar feel, 1 and 2 and 3 and 6, 8. Theoretically, this can be thought of as the same as the 6-quaver form of 3, 4 above, with the only difference being that the 8th note is selected as the one-beat unit. But whereas the 6 quavers in 3, 4 had been in 3 groups of 2, 6, 8 is practically understood to mean that they are in 2 groups of 3, with a 2 in a bar feel. 1 and a, 2 and a. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beat and time. Time signatures indicating 2 beats per bar are called duple time. Those with 3 beats to the bar are triple time. To the ear, a bar may seem like one singular beat. For example, a fast waltz, notated in 3, 4 time, may be described as being 1 in a bar. Terms such as quadruple, quintuple, and so on are also occasionally used. Actual beat divisions, as mentioned above, though the score indicates a 3, 4 time, the actual beat division can be the whole bar, particularly at faster tempos. Correspondingly, at slow tempos the beat indicated by the time signature could in actual performance be divided into smaller units. Interchangeability, rewriting meters. On a formal mathematical level, the time signatures of, for example, 3, 4 and 3, 8 are interchangeable. In a sense, all simple triple time signatures, such as 3, 8, 3, 4, 3, 2, etc. Euro, and all compound duple times, such as 6, 8, 6, 16 and so on, are equivalent. A piece in 3, 4 can be easily rewritten in 3, 8, simply by halving the length of the notes. Other time signature rewritings are possible. Most commonly a simple time signature with triplets translates into a compound meter. Though formally interchangeable, for a composer or performing musician, different time signatures often have different connotations. First, a smaller note value in the beat unit implies a more complex notation, which can affect ease of performance. Second, beaming affects the choice of actual beat divisions. It is, for example, more natural to use the quarter note crotchet as a beat unit in 6, 4 or 2, 2 than the 8 quaver in 6, 8 or 2, 4. Third, time signatures are traditionally associated with different music styles. It might seem strange to notate a rock tune in 4, 8 or 4, 2. Stress and meter. For all meters, the first beat is usually stressed. In time signatures with 4 groups in the bar, such as 4, 4 and 12, 8, the third beat is often also stressed, though to a lesser degree. This gives a regular pattern of stressed and unstressed beats, though notes on stressed beats are not necessarily louder or more important. Most frequent time signatures, video samples. For the most frequent time signatures, for larger versions of the videos, click play, then go to more than about this file, complex time signatures. Signatures that do not fit the usual duple or triple categories are called complex, asymmetric, irregular, unusual, or odd. Though these are broad terms, and usually a more specific description is appropriate. The term odd meter, however, sometimes describes time signatures in which the upper number is simply odd rather than even, including 3, 4 and 9, 8. These more complex meters are common in some non-Western music, but rarely appeared in formal written Western music until the 19th century. The first deliberate quintuple meter pieces were apparently published in Spain between 1516 and 1520, though other authorities reckoned that the Delphic hymns to Apollo, carved on the exterior walls of the Athenian treasury at Delphi in 128 BC, are probably earlier. The third movement of Chopin's Piano Sonata No. 1 is an early, but by no means the earliest, example of 5/4 time in solo piano music. Reichar's Fugue 20 from his 36 fugues, published in 1803, is also for piano and is in 5/8. The waltz-like second movement of Tchaikovsky's Pathikopritique Symphony, often described as a limping waltz, is a notable example of 5/4 time in orchestral music. Examples from the 20th century include Holst's Mars, The Bringer of War, and Neptune, The Mystic, both in 5/4, from the orchestral suite The Planets, Paul Hindemith's Fugue Secunda in G, 5/8, from Ludus Tonalis, the ending of Stravinsky's Firebird, 7/4, the Fugue from Here to Villa-Lobos's Bachianas Brasileiras No. 9, 11/8, and the Mission Impossible theme by Lalo Schifrin, also in 5/4. In the Western popular music tradition, unusual time signatures occur as well, with progressive rock in particular making frequent use of them. The use of shifting meters in the Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever and the use of quintuple meter in There Within You, Without You are well-known examples, as is Radiohead's Paranoid Android, includes 7/8. Paul Desmond's jazz composition Take 5, in 5/4 time, was one of a number of irregular meter compositions that the Dave Brubeck Quartet played. He played other compositions in 11/4, 7/4 Euro, and 9/8, expressed as 2 + 2 + 2 + 3/8. This last is an example of a work in a signature that, despite appearing merely compound triple, is actually more complex. However, such time signatures are only unusual in most Western music. Traditional music of the Balkans uses such meters extensively. Bulgarian dances, for example, include forms with 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 22, 25 and other numbers of beats per measure. These rhythms are notated as additive rhythms based on simple units, usually 2, 3 and 4 beats, though the notation fails to describe the metric time bending taking place, or compound meters. For example, the Bulgarian Sadi Donka consists of 25 beats divided 7 plus 7 plus 11, where 7 is subdivided 3 plus 2 plus 2 and 11 is subdivided 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 or 4 plus 3 plus 4. See variants below. Video samples for complex time signatures. Mixed meters. While time signatures usually express a regular pattern of beat stresses continuing through a piece, sometimes composers place a different time signature at the beginning of each bar, resulting in music with an extremely irregular rhythmic feel. In this case the time signatures are an aid to the performers, and not necessarily an indication of meter. The promenade from Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition is a good example. Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring is famous for its savage rhythms. In such cases, a convention that some composers follow is to simply omit the time signature. Charles Ives's Concord Sonata has measure bars for select passages, but the majority of the work is unbarred. Some pieces have no time signature, as there is no discernible meter. This is commonly known as free time. Sometimes one is provided, usually 4/4, so that the performer finds the piece easier to read, and simply has free time written as a direction. Sometimes the word free is written downwards on the staff to indicate the piece is in free time. Erik Satie wrote many compositions that are ostensibly in free time, but actually follow an unstated and unchanging simple time signature. Later composers used this device effectively, writing music almost devoid of a discernibly regular pulse. If two time signatures alternate repeatedly, sometimes the two signatures are placed together at the beginning of the piece or section, as shown below. Video samples for mixed meters. Variants, additive meters, to indicate more complex patterns of stresses, such as additive rhythms, more complex time signatures can be used. Additive meters have a pattern of beats that subdivide into smaller, irregular groups. Such meters are sometimes called imperfect, in contradistinction to perfect meters, in which the bar is first divided into equal units. For example, the signature €, which can be written /8, means that there are 8 quaver beats in the bar, divided as the first of a group of 3/8 notes that are stressed, then the first of a group of 2, then first of a group of 3 again. The stress pattern is usually counted as 1-2-3 1-2-1-2-3. This kind of time signature is commonly used to notate folk and non-Western types of music. In classical music, bar copyright La Barta Cubed K and Olivier Messiaen have used such time signatures in their works. The first movement of Maurice Ravel's piano trio in A minor is written in 8/8, in which the beats are likewise subdivided into 3+2+3 to reflect Basque dance rhythms. Romanian musicologist Constantin Brafloriniloi, who had a special interest in compound time signatures, developed while studying the traditional music of certain regions in his country. While investigating the origins of such unusual meters, he learned that they were even more characteristic of the traditional music of neighboring peoples. He suggested that such timings can be regarded as compounds of simple 2-beat and 3-beat meters, where an accent falls on every first beat, even though, for example in Bulgarian music, beat lengths of 1, 2, 3, 4 are used in the metric description. In addition, when focused only on stressed beats, simple time signatures can count as beats in a slower, compound time. However, there are 2 different length beats in this resulting compound time, a 1/2 again longer than the short beat. This type of meter is called aksak, impeded, jolting, or shaking, and is described as an irregular bichronic rhythm. A certain amount of confusion for Western musicians is inevitable, since a measure they would likely regard as 7/16, for example, is a 3-beat measure in aksak, with 1 long and 2 short beats. Folk music may make use of metric time bends, so that the proportions of the performed metric beat time lengths differ from the exact proportions indicated by the metric. Depending on playing style of the same meter, the time bend can vary from non-existent to considerable. In the latter case, some musicologists may want to assign a different meter. For example, The Bulgarian tunanomum is written as 7 equals 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, 13 equals 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 3, 12 equals 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 3, but in actual performance may be closer to 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 3.5. The Macedonian 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 meter is even more complicated, with heavier time bends, and use of quadruples on the threes. The metric beat time proportions may vary with the speed that the tune is played. The Swedish Båda Polska has a typical elongated second beat. In Western classical music, metric time bend is used in the performance of the Viennese waltz. Most Western music uses metric ratios of 2:1, 3:1, or 4:1 euro. In other words, integer ratios that make all beats equal in time length. So, relative to that, 3:2 and 4:3 ratios correspond to very distinctive metric rhythm profiles. Complex accentuation occurs in Western music, but as syncopation rather than as part of the metric accentuation. Barline borrowed a term from Turkish medieval music theory, aksak. Such compound time signatures fall under the aksak rhythm category that he introduced along with a couple more that should describe the rhythm figures in traditional music. The term barline revived had moderate success worldwide, but in Eastern Europe it is still frequently used. However, aksak rhythm figures occur not only in a few European countries, but on all continents, featuring various combinations of the 2 and 3 sequences. The longest are in Bulgaria. The shortest aksak rhythm figures follow the 5-beat timing, comprising a 2 and a 3. Video samples for additive meters. Other variants, some composers have used fractional beats. For example, the time signature 2 or 1/2, 4 appears in Carlos Carvez's Piano Sonata No. 3-4, M.1. Music educator Karl Orff proposed replacing the lower number of the time signature with an actual note image, as shown at right. This system eliminates the need for compound time signatures, which are confusing to beginners. While this notation has not been adopted by music publishers generally, it is used extensively in music education textbooks. Similarly, American composers George Crumb and Joseph Schwantner, among others, have used this system in many of their works. Another possibility is to extend the barline where a time change is to take place above the top instrument's line in a score and to write the time signature there, and there only, saving the ink and effort that would have been spent writing it in each instrument's staff. Henryk Garcubrecki's Beatuspa is an example of this. Alternatively, music in a large score sometimes has time signatures written as very long, thin numbers covering the whole height of the score rather than replicating it on each staff. This is an aid to the conductor, who can see signature changes more easily. Irrational meters, these are time signatures, used for so-called irrational bar lengths, that have a denominator that is not a power of 2. These are based on beats expressed in terms of fractions of full beats in the prevailing tempo euro, for example March 10 or 5 24. For example, where 4/4 implies a bar construction of 4 quarter parts of a whole note, 4/3 implies a bar construction of 4/3 parts of it. These signatures are only of utility when juxtaposed with other signatures with varying denominators. A piece written entirely in 4/3, say, could be more legibly written out in 4/4. Metric modulation is a somewhat distant analogy. It is arguable whether the use of these signatures makes metric relationships clearer or more obscure to the musician. It is always possible to write a passage using non-irrational signatures by specifying a relationship between some note length in the previous bar and some other in the succeeding one. Sometimes, successive metric relationships between bars are so convoluted that the pure use of irrational signatures would quickly render the notation extremely hard to penetrate. Good examples, written entirely in conventional signatures with the aid of between-bar specified metric relationships, occur a number of times in John Adams' opera Nixon in China, where the sole use of irrational signatures would quickly produce massive numerators and denominators. Historically, this device has been prefigured wherever composers wrote tuplets. For example, a 2/4 bar of 3 triplet crotchets could arguably be written as a bar of 3/6. Henry Cole's piano piece fabric employs separate divisions of the bar for the three contrapuntal parts, using a scheme of shape note heads to visually clarify the differences, but the pioneering of these signatures is largely due to Brian Fernie Hoare, who says that he finds that such irrational measures serve as a useful buffer between local changes of event density and actual changes of bass tempo. Thomas Ada S. has also used them extensively, for example in traced overhead, the second movement of which contains, among more conventional meters, bars in such signatures as 2, 6, September 14 and 5, 24. A gradual process of diffusion into less rarefied musical circles seems underway. For example, John Pickard's Eden, commissioned for the 2005 finals of the National Brass Band Championships of Great Britain, contains bars of 3, 10. Notationally, rather than using Cole's elaborate series of note head shapes, the same convention has been invoked as when normal tuplets are written. For example, one beat in 4, 5 is written as a normal quarter note, 4 quarter notes complete the bar, but the whole bar lasts only 4/5 of a reference whole note, and a beat 1/5 of one. This is notated in exactly the same way that one would write if one were writing the first 4 quarter notes of 5 quintuplet quarter notes. This article uses irrational in the music theory sense, not the mathematical sense, where an irrational number is one that cannot be written as a ratio of whole numbers. However, at least one composition Conlan Nancarrow studies for player piano uses a time signature that is irrational in the mathematical sense. The piece contains a canon with a part augmented in the ratio sh 42:1. Video samples for irrational meters. These video samples show two time signatures combined to make a polymeter, since 4, 3, say, in isolation, is identical to 4, 4. Early music usage, mensural time signatures, in the 14th, 15th and 16th centuries, a period in which mensural notation was used, 4 basic mensuration signs determined the proportion between the two main units of rhythm. There were no measure or bar lines in music of this period. These signs, the ancestors of modern time signatures, indicate the ratio of duration between different note values. The relation between the breve and the semi-breve was called tempus, and the relation between the semi-breve and the minim was called prolatio. Unlike modern notation, the duration ratios between these different values was not always 2:1. It could be either 2:1 or 3:1, and that is what, amongst other things, these mensuration signs indicated. A ratio of 3:1 was called complete, perhaps a reference to the Trinity, and a ratio of 2:1 was called incomplete. A circle used as a mensuration sign indicated tempus perfectum, while an incomplete circle, resembling a letter C, indicated tempus imperfectum. Assuming the breve is a beat, this corresponds to the modern concepts of triple meter and duple meter, respectively. In either case, a dot in the center indicated prolatio perfecta, while the absence of such a dot indicated prolatio imperfecta, corresponding to simple meter and compound meter. A rough equivalence of these signs to modern meters would be, corresponds to 9, 8 meter. Corresponds to 3, 4 meter. Corresponds to 6, 8 meter. Corresponds to 2, 4 meter. NB in modern compound meters, the beat is a dotted note value, such as a dotted quarter, because the ratios of the modern note value hierarchy are always 2:1. Dotted notes were never used in this way in the mensural period. The main beat unit was always a simple note value. Proportions, another set of signs in mensural notation, specified the metric proportions of one section to another, similar to a metric modulation. A few common signs are shown: tempus imperfectum diminutum, 1:2 proportion. Tempus perfectum diminutum, 1:2 proportion. Or just proportio tripla, 1:3 proportion. Often the ratio was expressed as two numbers, one above the other, looking similar to a modern time signature, though it could have values such as 4, 3, which a conventional time signature could not. Some proportional signs were not used consistently from one place or century to another. In addition, certain composers delighted in creating puzzle compositions that were intentionally difficult to decipher. In particular, when the sign was encountered, the tactus changed from the usual semi-breve to the breve, a circumstance called Alla Breve. This term has been sustained to the present day, and though now it means the beat is a minim, in contradiction to the literal meaning of the phrase, it still indicates that the beat has changed to a longer note value. See also, shuffle, tala, references. External links: Grateful Dead songs with unusual time signatures, Funky Vegino, a tune in 15/16 by Modeplegal, Odd Time Obsessed Internet Radio, dedicated to odd meters, more video samples of many time signatures, made with Bounce Metronome Pro, a program that can play all the time signatures mentioned in this article, even the ones that are irrational in the mathematical sense, like I4 euros.